Welcome, everybody, to today's Domino Dozen. We're on the 11th Domino Dozen. So, thank you so much for sticking with us. We have a really exciting session today. We're going to be busting a couple of myths about Domino. We've been around for a long time, over 30 years, and there are just a lot of misconceptions out there, outdated views about Domino. And now that we are actually over at HCL, there are a ton of improvements, obviously a big V12 release, and that's why we're all here today. And I can't wait to bust some of these myths. And my co-host today is Andrew Manby, somebody I hang out with pretty much daily, our AVP of Product Management. Thanks for joining me today, Andrew.
It's great to be here, Sharon. So, myth busting, what's not to love about it, right? So don't take our word for it. Listen to our experts, our customers and partners share their stories. So let's begin.
Let's start with myth number one. Domino doesn't allow you to create modern applications. That's absolutely not true. For the last 30 years, Domino has been one of the strongest development platform and provides a short learning curve, and actually made even shorter with Domino Volt, which we will talk to in a little bit. So today I am very excited to welcome two special guests to help us bust this myth, Stephen and Mike from Mutual Boiler. Ari, Andrew, I will let you kick it off.
It's great, Sharon, and I'm thrilled to have Stephen and Mike here today. So let's kick it off with a question to you, Stephen. So how did Mutual Boiler start their journey on Domino?
Thank you, Andrew. Mutual Boiler Re, or MBRE as we're known, is a leading provider of equipment breakdown reinsurance across North America. Equipment breakdown can cover a pretty wide range of devices, from wind farms and solar panels to farm equipment to even the HVAC unit in your home. About 25 years ago, we began to develop on an application called BOSS, which is our notes client application, and it's empowering our critical business function from claims, underwriting, engineering, CRM, accounting, and more. A common theme that we hear when we talk to other insurance companies at conferences and industry events is how much money they spent integrating disparate systems created from different vendors. Having all the data and all the business logic maintained in the same technology stack makes integrating modules that much easier when new business needs arise. When we hire new employees, we like to gauge their satisfaction with our systems compared to the environment they worked in previously. The common thread in the responses we receive is how much easier their job is because everything is in the same place.
Yeah, it's a great point, Stephen, and something that we hear from many of our customers, right? It's that, one stack, and developers, in organizations are building wonderful solutions, and they're all integrated, and that's what makes it easy to use. Great. So Mike, so how are you evolving, your business powered by, Domino?
Well, Steve just mentioned our BOSS application. The next generation of that is XBOSS, which is an XPages-based Domino web application that has replaced BOSS over the past 5 years or so. One of the great advantages of Domino for us was maintaining business continuity as different departments moved from BOSS to XBOSS. Since both systems talk to the same data, no migration or cutover was necessary. And converting to XPages and modern front-end technologies has opened up a whole new world of possibilities for our user base. We've built a large set of reusable components that accelerate our ability to add functionality, including a view control and a tabbing system that mimics the notes client by allowing users to have multiple documents or views open at one time, all within one browser tab. If our users have innovative ideas, we have the tools we need within Domino to turn those ideas into reality and provide them with the functionality they need to do their jobs more efficiently. And this extends beyond just our internal users. As our business continues to grow, the need to use technology to support that growth has become even more important. We've accomplished this by looking for opportunities to automate processes that have previously been completed manually. Leveraging our Domino infrastructure, we started to build APIs to interface with external systems, which has freed up critical resources. We have customers that want to exchange information via APIs. It's important that we are positioned to meet these technological needs, and with Domino, we feel we are.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Mike. I have to say, you know, Stephen and Mike, these are great looking applications. They're some of the most user-friendly applications I've seen. So congrats to both of you. You know, so it sort of it spawns the question, you know, to you, Stephen, is how are these innovations that, you know, this approach that Mike has been mentioning, helping, you know, your customers?
Well, in early 2021, we launched a redesign of our partner portal we call MBRE Online. And the main purpose for that was to increase our online engagement from our partner companies, our customers. So as we went through the redesign process, we identified 3 goals that were critical to the success of the project: providing a great user experience, providing the ability to exchange information quickly and efficiently, and integrating the information we receive through the portal directly into our BOSS application, relieving our claims and underwriting departments of inefficient manual entry of critical data. We're a few months in now into the portal redesign being put in production, and we are realizing the successes and efficiencies we had hoped for with both our internal and external customers who are absolutely thrilled.
That's great. So let me maybe sort of close this out. And that was great, Stephen, with one last question to Mike here. You know, you can tell my enthusiasm for this user experience here. It's fantastic. But, you know, what sort of lessons have you learned that you can share with other Domino developers? I know you've been at the cutting edge. You talked about, you know, creating a viewing system and tabs like the Notes client. What would you like to share with the community to sort of follow in your footsteps, perhaps?
Well, I think for starters, it's don't get caught up in the mentality that there is only one way to build applications in Domino. If you're primarily a front-end developer, Domino has the capabilities you need to surface data through REST services. If you're primarily a back-end developer, you have flexibility in choosing the language where your business logic is going to live. Definitely take care of your databases. In our case, we have databases with millions of documents. Proactively maintaining the health of big databases and making sure servers are configured to maximize performance is vital to the success of our applications. Set yourself up for success by architecting for scalability. This may sound simplistic and obvious, but I think it's a point that can't be emphasized too much. Domino works well with other tools. Don't be afraid to incorporate them into your apps. Using different UI frameworks has greatly enhanced our apps and sped up our development time. I mean, really, you need to determine the needs of your business and let that drive how you build your Domino applications.
Thank you, Mike. And that's sagely advice. Fantastic. I think this myth is well and truly busted. Let's drop the mic, Sharon.
I agree. Thank you so much for coming to share your tips and these beautiful looking apps. We're ready to move on to the next bit. Okay, and we are not done with this myth. We're still talking about Domino creating modern applications. Earlier, I had mentioned that Domino provides a short learning curve, and that's not just for our professional Domino developers. Most of you might have heard of Domino Vault, our new low-code capability to allow you to create applications pretty quickly. And that is true even for a marketer like myself. We create all of our forms and our surveys on Domino Vault that you see on the website today. And really quickly, I do want to talk about the showroom that we announced back in Domino Dozen 1. If you missed that announcement, it's a Domino Vault showroom that has a bunch of sample applications, how-to examples, JavaScript examples that can really help you start a framework to build your apps really quickly. We cover a bunch of really common use cases across industries. Again, it can really be the starting framework for any of the apps that you are building to really expedite. We want to make it as fast as possible for you to build apps either on Domino or Domino Vault. All right, and now we are moving on to myth number 2. I think we have this misconception that Domino apps are stuck on a Notes client. And we all know that that's not true. So what do you think about that, Andrew?
I think it's a big myth that's about to be busted, right? And I think the opposite is true. You only have to look at what we provide with Nomad, and that's been a great journey for us. So I'm really pleased to introduce someone I've actually first met back in 2017 at the first Domino Jam that we had in the UK, Nigel Boyle, who's the IT director from Brampton, Oxfordshire at PD Hook. Nigel, so thanks for joining us on this myth-busting section. So I have some great questions for you. So tell us, when did you first start using Notes and Domino, and what were you using it for?
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Well, we produce chicken in the UK and been using Notes since the 1990s. Originally, we used to use a page-a-day diary for hatch information for about 100,000 chicks a week. But then we had many people needing to use the same book at the same time, and Notes was recommended to us. And our first application was very soon written. And I can actually fast forward now 25 years to where we are today, and we're now hatching over 10 million chicks a week using that same core application. We've gone through from version 4 to 11, and the core is still operating perfectly. Within this, we track 13 million eggs a week, in which lorry the eggs came on, and to which hatchery, and which lorry delivered the chicks, and which driver was driving, so that we've got a complete record of everything. And additionally, we've gained many, many more key production and a plethora of other administration databases, all within the Notes client.
So, so that was your sort of first application, and I know you were super excited when you and I met, and the first Nomad application on iPad was available. So, what was your first application, Nigel, away from, if you like, the traditional Notes client delivery?
Okay, well, we also grow turkeys, and on acquisition of that business, there was a very old program on computers on the farms, and this was just when Nomad for iOS was coming out, and we proposed moving over to this. It was written very, very quickly for iPad, and it's been live for over 2 years now, pulling in information into the offices into a Notes application. I do believe this was the first application to actually go live using it. And then we do a lot of reporting from there, either by instant open Excel reports, views within the database, and also reports that are automatically emailed out to users.
Okay, fantastic. So this sort of evolving usage of the Nomad for iOS, what are some of the other areas you've been using it for, Nigel?
Okay, well, one of the other things that we had a real big need for is, as with all IT departments, you have hundreds and hundreds of different passwords. And we've gone from Excel spreadsheets, we've gone from notepads, we've gone sort of round in circles what to do. And one of the big strengths of Notes, of course, is field encryption. So we wrote an encrypted database, which goes straight through into Nomad for the iPhone, and we keep that with us. And if you're upside down under a server and needing a password, then the phone is right there, and there are the passwords. And we find that really a very useful example of just going mobile with Notes.
Yeah, it's a great example. Now, one of the things, Nigel, I mean, you've been on this journey with us from the first version on iOS, and then we added Android for tablet, and then we added for the phone for both iOS and Android. And with version 12, we announced Nomad Web. So, with this new expansion of the Nomad family, is there anything that sort of catches your eye that you'd like to expand your application usage on that as well?
Well, actually, there is, Andrew. It will make a major simplification for us because we have hundreds of disparate users all around the country who log into our servers at Coat to be able to use the Notes client to have information readily available to planners and so on. However, one of the big issues we've got is the upgrades and maintenance with these people scattered around the country. So the thought of having Nomad Web there, where you've got everything done on a central server, a fix pack comes out, you put it on once, and then everyone's got it instantly. I think that'll make a big difference to us. And I do think mobile's the key way of working now. And with the Nomad Web and for iOS, you've really grabbed this with both hands, enabling very straightforward maintenance and operation. And with the modern design we're using in Nomad, I'm convinced really it's the way forward for a lot of people to very simply go mobile.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Nigel, I really appreciate you helping us out with busting this myth. It's not a use case you sort of really think about every single day, but I love the way your dedication and passion for the community and the platform and showing us these innovative ways to build new applications or take your existing applications in a new form factor. Thanks for joining us, Nigel. I think back over to you, Sharon.
All right, we've made it to myth number 3. This one is about data lock-in with Domino, a big misconception that my data is locked in, my users don't have access to it. Well, so that's not true. It really can be accessed in multiple ways. And today we have Heather to take us through to help us bust that myth. And for those of you who don't know, Heather just made the announcement that she just joined the HCL team as a technical advisor here at HCL Software. So I'll let you and Andrew take it away.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. And it's exciting for you to be on this side of the fence with us, Heather, right?
I completely
other
agree.
webinars we did together. It's fantastic.
Yes.
So this has been a favorite sort of topic of mine, since I've been part of the community since 2017. And I know you have a unique perspective on it, but I think that a product is only as good as the ecosystem it generates, both from the ISVs, the people who build applications, but also the capabilities of the product to make integration easy. So could you give us like some sort of perspective on how easy is it for people to integrate Domino data wherever they need it to be?
Right. So, to me, first of all, just going to this myth, I don't know who started that evil rumor. It could not be further from the truth, right? In fact, whether it was Lotus, IBM, or HCL, to the credit of the platform in the 30 years that it's been around, it's always been developed to allow for the transfer of information within Domino or Notes to outside of the platform and also to come back in. And the other thing too that's also been done repeatedly over the years is making sure that things are done working against industry standards, working with consortiums, et cetera, to make sure that it's easily consumable or easily consuming data from other places. And with the regards to this picture that's on the screen, you can see all of the different ways that you can get to Domino data or get data from Domino can get data from other sources. And ultimately, a little bit of a history lesson here, I've been working with this platform for over 27 years. And, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was very popular to use crystal reports, to use ODBC against a Domino database and consume the data or the documents that are in Domino and turn that into meaningful information. Of course, coming forward, we then had the introduction of the Lotus Exchange Integrator. It's now known as the HCL Exchange Integrator, but that's what allows you to do massive imports of data in and out of Domino and sharing that data with a relational database, for example, DB2, SQL, and Oracle. So ultimately allowing you to take the information that's stored in a Domino document or Domino documents, and then thousands upon thousands of documents can very quickly be synchronized against that backend relational database, and then use the power of that backend relational database so that users can consume that data as they need to in that environment as well. So, and then also moving forward, we now have some of the things that came forward in Domino 10 and 11 with LotusScript, where you can write things out to HTTP and JSON. Also the database property on a view, where you can save a view or you can set the view to say, write this out to the Domino data service. And ultimately that allows this information to be published out as a REST API that then can be consumed by other entities on, that are available through HTTP and HTTPS. You can also take this and write it as a JSON. And again, that can be consumed as well. And the flip side, you can take a JSON file and using what's available in LotusScript, transverse that JSON file and convert it into Domino documents, or even updating Domino documents, because ultimately you have full CRUD abilities. That's create, read, add, and delete as needed. So it's extremely powerful to be able to take data that's in Domino and share it with applications outside of Domino.
Yeah, it sounds great, Heather. I mean, it sort of reminds me of one of my sort of favorite expressions, which is, if you can imagine it, you can build it with Domino, right?
Absolutely, yes.
One thing I was thinking about, which is you were talking about standards, and it sort of reminded me of a story you told me the other day related to standards and a Domino application for a specific industry. Could you share that with us?
Absolutely. So I have a client that they are relatively new. They're an insurance company, and they actually decided to build their business around Notes and Domino because they see the strength of the platform with regards to security and rapid application development and ease of use. So ultimately, there is a insurance service that's out on the internet. And what they have done is built a Domino application that, using the REST APIs and the JSON capabilities that are available in this Domino database, are a series of LotusScript agents that consume those JSONs that are published by this internet service. And then that traversing of the JSON document is actually creating notes documents in the notes database. Then their insurance agents using HCL notes, they're using HCL notes to go against the Domino database and process those notes documents, whether they are creating insurance policies, creating claims, or anything else that their customers need. Now, on the flip side, they could absolutely do something with these notes documents if they needed to, and they could push that information back to those internet services that are out there on the World Wide Web. Actually, something that's really cool too, when you look at this graphic, is the low code option, because we now have in Domino Vault. And Domino Vault can be used by anybody that can work with an Excel spreadsheet. It's like Excel is one of those mysteries to me, like a pivot table. I have no idea how to create a pivot table, but there are finance people, accountants, etc., that's their language. They speak that. And so, basically with taking Vault, you could absolutely create an application that could consume these documents in Domino, and it could publish them to the REST API. Okay, and then by using HCL link, that information goes out to become a JSON response file that then's consumable again by all of these other sources that are out there available that can talk HTTP or HTTPS.
Yeah, it's for me, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Heather. The low code stuff is super powerful.
Yes.
If you're a business user, you can build something, or you can just consume access to a mainframe or an SAP application,
Mm-hmm.
your database of choice. I really like the approach. Since
Right.
we're talking about business users, right, and people who use Excel spreadsheets, is there any good news for those users gaining access to the Domino data as well?
Oh, absolutely. There's so much, especially when you think about your executives or your upper level managers who want to do business analytics. And, there's all of this great information in Domino databases. And let's face it, how many Domino databases out there have been around for 15, 20, 25 years? So you think about over that period of time, the thousands or millions of documents that have been created in these applications. And all that data is there. And in a way, maybe it is kind of locked because it is kind of difficult using Domino to simply report against that data. Yes, again, in Bolt, you get some nice little pie charts and bar graphs that you can do, but to really have that business analytical utility, that's where you have to go to another application that's built for it, right? Whether it's Power BI or Tableau, those kind of things. And so absolutely, using an ODBC driver that's written by CData, absolutely, you can use your front end application that was written something like Power BI, and then using that driver, you can tap into the data that's in a Domino database. Now, specifically here with the example on the screen, what you're doing is you're using that Proton server that was introduced in Domino 10. So ultimately what you have is on your Domino 10, 11, or 12 server, you have running a Proton add-in task. And that add-in task is it's running under the Domino umbrella, just like the router or the replicator. But ultimately when it's installed and running, then that allows anything that was written to be executed on that Domino server. And it's talking basically, or it's being processed by the Node.js Domino database module. So that's what's going to happen in that hook-in, where it's coming in from Power BI, ultimately being executed on the Domino server, and that information is being served up and served back up to the executive that's using their Power BI application, for example.
Yeah. So Heather, this must make it really easy to use, right? And super fast.
Absolutely, yes, because the other thing too that it's doing is it's using the Domino query language, and the Domino query language can go against millions of Domino documents in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, that's really cool. Can we see something?
Absolutely, I would love to show you an example. So let's take for an example a toy manufacturing company. They have millions of documents in a Domino application that contain customer contacts, product sales, and client interaction history. Now, along comes the business executive who needs to get an overview of how the business is performing. These documents are essentially the golden goose. A developer can use the connectors that I discussed as being available with Domino 12. And as I said, they can create a front end like this using a business analytical software of choice to allow their users to run reports directly against Domino data. As you can see here, it's a friendly visual representation of sales by geographical location, easy to understand, easy to navigate, and quickly get that overview to make informed business decisions. Now, let's say a seller in Washington State lands a huge new deal and adds a document to the Domino database. The executive does not need to wait hours for a system synchronization because the front end is going directly against this database. By simply refreshing the report, the executive sees in real time that Seattle is a top performer.
Thank you for that demo, and thank you for being part of this presentation today, Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Let's move on to myth number 4. All right, we've hit myth number 4, this misconception that your products can only run on-prem, making it hard to find an admin. And I think that might be because, Domino has been around for the last 30 years, maybe even before, cloud was even a thing. So while it might have been true a long time ago, it no longer is. In fact, Domino has one of the most flexible cloud options here in the market. Andrew, why don't you show us a couple of options?
So everyone knows the major investment that HCL has made in Domino after over 3 releases here. So we've really improved the enterprise credentials of the Domino product in a number of dimensions. And we've evolved it from on-premise to Docker and now Kubernetes support with version 12. So essentially you have every single deployment option at your fingertips. So everything works exactly the way you want with your mail and apps, wherever you decide to deploy it. And it's also in a cloud of your own choosing, which is really important because that way you're not locked in. So you have options. I'm thrilled to welcome John and Justin from Promedic today to share their experiences about hosting Domino customers in their cloud and what's really important, whether they're mail or apps. So welcome, John and Justin.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
So let's kick this off. So John, what's important to your customers when they're thinking about making a decision to come to you and moving to the cloud? You know, what are the triggers?
Well, I think the key is there's more demands and there's fewer admins. You know, IT is asked to do a lot of stuff, and IT, you know, back in the day, it used to be kind of that side thing where those people hung out and they did what they did, and now they literally run every aspect of everything in the company. The reality too, in the perspective of Domino, is a lot of companies have lost their admin skills and a lot of their Domino skills. And you couple that with the fact that HCL is moving really quickly right now. There's tons of new features, there's new versions, new releases, brand new software offerings. And so you've got companies with mission critical applications that run their business built on Domino, but they need help. They need help taking care of it. So in the end, you know, a company like ours, we take all of that pain away, right? We've got a single per user price in most cases, and this covers licensing, it covers administrative support, it covers opening tickets with HCL, it covers the infrastructure, it covers the management, it covers the upgrades, it covers disaster recoveries. Everything we do is clustered, and not only is it clustered, but it's clustered in 2 physically separate data centers. So your data is safe in 2 different places. So the reality is running Domino is better with companies like Promedic or Bellsoft or ISW or any of the cloud hosting MSPs. You know, speaking for Promedic, we run over 1,200 Domino servers. So more than most companies, we know this stuff inside and out.
Yeah, it's tremendous. I mean, I really get the feeling you just make that whole decision really easy, right? So maybe the question to you, Justin, is thinking about making it easy. You know, what are the top things that you try to assure customers about when they're thinking about making a move to the cloud? Because there must be common patterns or questions you get.
Yeah, I think the 3 biggest things that come up routinely are security, integrations, and performance. Especially, you know, starting with security, there's currently, I think, a widespread illusion in our industry that you gain something by being on the most common platform, let's say. This illusion of security in numbers, I think, is a false one. And one of the really great things about Domino is that it's a fully secured architecture. It's been that way since it was built 3 decades ago, over 3 decades ago at this point. And the users that we work with get to have all of the controls that they still have on premise when they move to the cloud. So the versioning, the hot fixes, the interim fixes, things like the multi-factor authentication choices, VPNs, MPLSs, all of those decisions remain unique to their organization and controllable by their IT department. So that's, I think, the biggest thing. Another really common thing for us is the integrations that are available. A lot of people are very concerned that because Domino ties to SAP or Oracle or DB2 or one of their other in-house systems that run line of business applications, that they're somehow prevented from moving to the cloud because of that. And we work through those issues all the time. There are as many possibilities as far as the high availability pathways to get back into those remote systems. From our facilities, they're remote. From the customer's facilities, they're still on premise, of course. You know, as it is in any large multinational or even mid-sized companies that have multiple sites anyway. So we routinely tackle that level. And then finally, a lot of people come to us really not understanding the performance behaviors of their applications. And so we've spent a long time over the years perfecting, I think, our tools that help rapidly analyze and diagnose where the bottlenecks are in especially heavily used let's say, applications that have been around a long time. And so we can apply all of those principles really quickly when people onboard with us to help really fine tune and boost the performance of their systems.
Yeah, that's great, Justin. On that point, actually, we talked about, the business drivers, with John. You talked about, some of the important criteria they need to think about, Justin, right, and to maintaining those applications. And you said the word onboarding, right? So they've made the decision now. How do you sort of take them through the last half mile to get them on? What is that experience, and how do you sort of set them up for success?
Well, I think, when people get to that point, a lot of them are paralyzed, right? A good number of them have never done this before. And as I said earlier, they're really busy. And this is just one more project, one more thing to do. So we guide our customers through everything, right? From a Domino perspective, we'll join your notes domain if you already have Domino. So we just become additional servers in your existing environment. And that's really important from a migration perspective because it allows users to keep their usernames, they keep their passwords. If they're in the notes client, they keep their notes IDs. It also facilitates, a really easy replication between the two Domino servers, right? It's one of the greatest strengths from my perspective is this super easy data replication between servers. And so the key point for that is you don't have to do a knife edge Friday night cutover, right? We can synchronize all the data and we can keep it in sync. And then you can start to migrate batches of users in a controlled fashion at your pace. And at the end of the day, the goal is for users, for the most part, not to even know that they've been migrated, right? Because if they're in the notes client, they stay in the notes client. They're just hitting a different server. And if they're in a browser, they might even be hitting the same URL that just happens to be redirected from a DNS perspective to the Prominent servers instead of their on-prem servers. So I know the easy button cliche is way overused, but we literally try to become the easy button for them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a great way to think about it. So it's really about business continuity and making sure it's easy and there's no impact on their business. Well, I think this has been a great session. I always love talking to you too. Always a great conversation. So I think, Sharon, we can call this myth well and truly busted.
I agree. Thank you so much, John and Justin. You guys have been, trusted partners for a long time, and we're really happy to have you here join us today.
Thank you for having us.
All right, now we're moving on to myth number 5, also our final myth. This one, as a marketer, really bothers me. So it's one that I really want to dispel and squash as soon as I can. So who says no one is using Domino anymore? That cannot be farther away from the truth. I think this was a really big theme in Richard's keynote during the live launch day. The world is very much powered by Domino today. So we've been around for 30 years, but I think that only makes us legendary and not legacy. And today, to help me with this myth, I have a very special guest, Matt Newman. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Sharon. Yep, it's fantastic to join you this evening or this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm Matt Newman. Yes, that guy there in the yellow suit. Why do I wear yellow? Because yellow is the color of happiness, and it's also traditionally the color of Notes and Domino, which are inextricably linked with one another. I'm here today to help you go through some of our customer stories, some of the recent wins that we've had with Domino as a platform, and let's go and have a look at these things that we're going to chat about right now, Sharon. So in the keynote, Richard already mentioned LG. LG Group have 40,000 employees worldwide across a number of subsidiaries. And one of the cool things that LG recently decided to do was to take some of those subsidiaries who weren't running Domino and consolidate the entire organization on Domino as a platform. Now, mail is one of the things that Domino is traditionally famous for, and in version 12, we've actually included a number of mail features which help improve that platform. So LG were really happy with the new security features that we've included, and they are going to roll out across the entire group. Notes that's Domino for mail as a platform. Very similar story. Recently in China, we had one of our major customers, a China Airlines organization, who are actually the 10th largest cargo carrier in the world. Why would they be the 10th largest cargo carrier in the world? Well, you may have heard of Taiwan being a major semiconductor manufacturer, and that's one of the ways that they ship semiconductors around the planet. The cool thing there is that organization was using an alternative platform for most of their employees to deliver mail to them. And some of their employees were using Notes and Domino. Recently, they actually made the decision, because of the security around Notes and Domino, and primarily around the new TOTP capabilities that are available in Domino version 12, to consolidate across the group on Domino as a platform. Another really cool story when it comes to application development also comes out of Taiwan, where we had one of our major banking organizations in this region who was seriously considering re-platforming their Domino applications. Now, our team there worked closely with that organization, went through all of the exciting new developments and capabilities that are happening around Domino application development, and managed to convince that customer that they would be saving literally millions of dollars and thousands of man hours in time and effort of modernizing those applications, leveraging the new capabilities in Domino, rather than re-platforming or moving to another system. And the final myth-busting story I've got for you today is around a major insurance provider in India. Now, the story here was they already had a couple of thousand users inside their organization leveraging Domino as a platform for mail and a couple of applications inside their organization. Recently, though, they actually went out and examined the marketplace, and they wanted to find out what was happening, number one, in low code, and number two, what was happening in mail. Now, the cool thing there is our South Asian team did such a fantastic job of engaging with this customer. They managed to go in and speak with line of business users, and in a very short period of time, just a matter of weeks, they were able to prototype a couple of applications which this insurance company realized would revolutionize the way that they actually interacted across the other 20,000 employees in their organization, operating in 390 branch offices across the country. So when they put together the compelling reasons around application development and a consolidated mail platform in Domino, they decided to roll out Domino across the entire organization. Now, these four stories that I've just mentioned today are really talking about existing customers. What I haven't mentioned are the 25 new logo customers, which represent hundreds of thousands of users, which we've recently signed up in this region, who are choosing Domino as a platform for their organization moving forward. And hopefully, the next time I speak with you, they will have finished their implementations and will be able to discuss their stories as well. Sharon, thanks for asking me to join today.
Thank you for those stories, Matt. I could not think of a better person to be helping us kind of wrap this presentation up. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
And unfortunately, that is the end or the last of the myths, but we have a couple of really exciting promotions. You might have heard Richard talk about it on Live Day, but Andrew, do you want to explain the accelerators really quickly for our audience again?
Yes, really quickly. And just repeating what Richard said, So the two offers we had, the first one is related to Domino. So before August 30th, if you work with our lab services organization and do a paid upgrade to V12, we'll include the installation of Nomad Web at no extra cost. That's number one. Number two is the Thunderbolt Accelerator. I just love the name of that, don't you? So if you buy Domino Vault before August 30th, so in the next 12 weeks or less, we will build your first Domino app at no additional cost. It's free. How exciting is that? Details are available on our website, so check it out or use this QR code.
So thank you so much for sticking with us to Domino Dozen 11. Tomorrow will be the 12th drop, which is our last drop. We'll have a really fun recap of all the announcements, a couple of behind the scenes videos and footages that we would like to share. So come by tomorrow for that drop. And also just a really quick note that the portal that you have been signing into to watch all of these videos and content, that will close June 24th. But don't worry, everything that we've shared during live day as well as the Domino Dozen will be available on our YouTube channel. I've left the link there. All of that will be ungated for you to watch after June 24th. So that is it, Andrew. We are done. Thank you so much for joining me. I had a lot of fun. I think we make a pretty good team, and I hope our audience liked it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to doing a podcast with you, Sharon. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey, everyone, stay tuned for the Andrew and Sharon podcast coming soon. All right.
Thank you. Bye.